founded in 1963 after a very long heroic struggle of the people of Kenya. I happened to have been present as a youth, witnessing the struggle. And I saw how the older ones, who are older than us, we were young people, babies actually, how they were struggling, how the youth were being arrested, how the youth were being imprisoned. It was a very fierce battle. And it was across the whole country. Those youth who fought at that time now, most of them are either dead or are now very old. So Kenya then attained independence, and everybody was so happy. I happened myself to be out of the country at that time studying, but I remember us standing there. There's a time differential of 2 hours between Kenya and where we were. But it was exactly at midnight when the Kenyans assembled at what is called Uhuru Gardens. And then the Union Jack was lowered and the Kenyan flag was hoisted. Kenya became independent in 1963, December. So Kenyan people were very, very optimistic. So the most optimistic people in the world. You have now conquered. You have a new flag. You have now a new nation. And we then had a fairly democratic constitution that separated powers. So you had the legislature, you had the executive, you had the judiciary. So you had a prime minister. At that time, Kenya was independent but not a republic. The head of state was the Queen of England, and government. Then we had also a devolved system of government called Majimbo. Kenya was divided into 7 Majimbos, with Nairobi being designated as an extraterritorial county. These Majimbos were headed by presidents. Then now, what happened was when they were now writing the Republican Constitution, when Kenya was becoming a republic 1 year later, that is where things started going wrong. They now created a president out of a prime minister who was now both head of state and head of government. So the president is one time a head of state living in State House. At the same time, he's also the head of government. And then the then prime minister was graduated from being a prime minister to becoming an executive president without going for any elections. That was in 1964. Thereafter, then they started the process of constitutional amendments. If you look at those constitutional amendments, they're altogether nearly 33 different amendments. And all of them had basically the intention of removing power from the periphery to the center. So you ended up creating a very powerful center, a president, in the name of president. And the president was above the law, could not be prosecuted. And so the presidency emasculated all other institutions of governance that time. You find that the Majimbos, those Majimbo was done away with, an amendment, so that they removed Majimbo and created a unitary system of government. Then they also to remove the Senate. It was a bicameral house, Senate and the National Assembly. Senate was dissolved and created just only a National Assembly, which is called the Parliament. Then they used to have regional assemblies. Regional assemblies were also dissolved, and up also called local government authorities. And they created a very powerful ministry called Minister for Local Government, who was an executive minister, but sitting here in Nairobi. So those assemblies basically were powerless. And then, on the other hand, they came up with a law that controlled the media. So the media itself was muzzled, could not speak. And then they also introduced what they call Preservation of Public Order Act.